So again, hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the CHA training webinar on the many hats of a successful CHA. We really appreciate you taking your time to be here today and are optimistic that you'll walk away with some new knowledge to help you be more of a success than you already are. Okay. I see there are some DTs who have joined us as well as CHAs, which is wonderful because the docs can see what the CHAs are capable of. My name is Shazia and I recently joined Full Circle Coaching and Consulting about 7 months ago as a virtual administrative assistant. So before Full Circle, I was a CHA for approximately 12 years in a small, successful office in Milton, Ontario called Discover Wellness Within with Dr. Heather Jones. Now, the reason for this transition in career for me was so I could work from home and be available for my 4 children. And knowing that family was right on the top of my core values list, I knew this was the right decision for me, even though it was a very difficult decision because I absolutely loved the office environment I was in. And Dr. Jones, whom I worked with, was absolutely amazing. She definitely had an upper hand in giving me many opportunities in expanding my knowledge about chiropractic and also expanding my comfort zone, which was quite restricted, I must admit. But once she got me role playing, well, that definitely tested me on my comfort zone. I didn't realize that the benefits of role playing was just an absolute must in all offices in the training process, I believe, because the benefits you can get from them are amazing. And I know when I first started role playing, I was very uncomfortable. I was nervous. I felt silly repeating things over and over again. But when you actually see the results and the benefits afterwards, it made it so much easier to talk to the practice members to communicate what I had to communicate. So I didn't look like a fool in front of the practice members. So about 3 months after starting with Full Circle Coaching, Dr. Tom Preston, who's the founder and president of this amazing company, asked me if I would be interested in sharing my expertise as a CHA by coaching. And of course, I felt honored and I couldn't give up such an opportunity, so here I am. And the thought had crossed my mind before, so again, something definitely that I was interested in. So I'm going to start the webinar with my first question. And how many of you feel like as CHA you find yourself managing more than you bargained for? So you're not just sitting on the other side of the desk helping the practice members, but the phone is ringing, children are crying, the waiting room is filled, and the practice members are standing around waiting to be served when they have questions or they want to schedule or make payments. I'm sure most of you know what I'm talking about. I remember when I had gone from one of my mini interviews for the position of CHA, and I was asked as to how I would handle this type of scenario. Now, I thought Dr. Jones was just asking me to see how I could handle stress. But little did I know that this was actually what happened in our office almost like every day. So, like me, how many of you had no chiropractic background when you first started at CHA and sometimes feel overwhelmed with what's going on around you in the office? Especially if you're the only CHA in the office and it's all on your shoulders with all the chiropractic terminology, the office procedures, dealing with the insurance, the MVA. I remember thinking that I'm never going to be able to remember all this. But you know what? With time, it comes. So if these are the types of questions you've been asking yourself, then you're definitely in the right place. Tonight, we're going to discuss the methods or tools to make it all settle down a little bit and make the office feel smoother and with more ease. So I'm going to share a little background of myself with you just for a moment. As I mentioned before, I had no chiropractic background when I first started, and I saw the ad in the local paper for a chiropractic office looking for a CHA. And the only requirement was that you had to enjoy working with kids. And I love children. I only had one of my own at that time. So I thought I'd apply. And after sending my resume in, I attended a group interview. So there were about over a dozen of us in there, I believe. After the group interview, there was a private interview and another interview with a CHA coach at another chiropractic office. And then the final stage of hiring was to attend a chiropractic seminar in Toronto. And all this was done just to see how I felt about the chiropractic profession, if I was sure that I wanted to get in there. And at this point, I had been totally impressed with the philosophies I was exposed to and had made my mind up that I definitely wanted to be a CHA. Now, I didn't realize how badly I wanted it until I remember as I was getting ready for the seminar, my husband looked over at me, and he had been watching me through this hiring process, and he made a comment to me and said, it's okay if you don't get this job, Shazia. And my response, I'm going to get this job. It's mine. And guess what? After putting it out in the universe provided me with exactly what I had asked for. Now that I was in, the training started. And mine was not a normal type of training, as I think it was only a few short weeks after I started that Dr. Jones went into labor and started her maternity leave. Now, did I mention that she was expecting through all the hiring process? Any day. I was thrown into the deep end, and that's for sure. Thank goodness I got enough training to keep the office flow going smoothly, and the locum I was working with was wonderful, so we managed to work together and to provide the care that the practice members needed. So even though Dr. Jones and I communicated every day, I often wondered what had I gotten myself into. Mind you, when the doctor came back, my training did begin, and it was quite intense. And remember the question I asked, I shared with you at the beginning, the scenario in the office? Well, it didn't take too long before that was a daily routine, and I realized this wasn't just a front desk position. It was a position where I'd be wearing many different hats. So I'll talk about the benefits of proper chiropractic training, the CHA training, as I believe that the training I received in the 12 years was ongoing, and it's still ongoing. So I got a message that my sound is a bit muffled. So you guys, I'm going to turn my camera off because that might actually help with that. And just let me know if the sound is still muffled. So remember, my intention for tonight is actually just to give you all a taste of some of the responsibilities or many hats as CHAs we're required to wear in order to be successful. Remember, the CHA is the face of the chiropractic office. If you struggle, the whole office struggles. If you're successful, the doctor is successful, and the office as a whole will look successful, making everybody happy because that's what we want. So I'm going to go over some of the benefits of proper CHA training. Is my voice okay now, you guys? So the first most important benefit is that we have to make the office flow more smoothly. It's important to have office procedures and office policies on paper for you to review whenever you need it. Okay, a procedure manual is a must. Thank you. So the procedure manual is a must as well in all offices. It's a great training tool to train new CHAs when they come into the office. And it's never complete, you guys. I mean, it has to be updated as procedures change. Okay. One technique to help the office flow would be to view the appointment sheet at the beginning of the day to see what your day would look like. Anyone on the list you need to mention or you have concerns about, you need to discuss with the doctor. Sorry, with all these technical difficulties, let me just see if I can increase my volume here. Okay. Okay, so hopefully that's better. So at the beginning of the day, if you look at the appointment sheet, then you can have a little huddle with the team and with the doctor just to make sure everybody who's going to be coming in today, if there's any special time that they need with a doctor, if the doctor wants to discuss anything. So have a look at the appointment sheet. Another thing is to have a team huddle or even an affirmation to help clear your mind and focus for the day. And that's a great way to start the adjusting day as well. So how the CHA portrays himself in the office shows how the office runs. Right? So we want to make a habit of having the desk clutter-free during the adjusting hours. Try not to be all over the place, doing too many things at once, especially in front of the practice members, because that's supposed to be their time. Always remain calm, friendly, and inviting. Remember, when the practice members come into our office, they need to feel they are important, and they need to be felt like they're being taken care of. Okay? So CHAs first interact with the new practice members as they call to make first appointments. So we need to make a lasting impression. So when the new practice members call on the phone, we don't want to seem rushed, okay? We want to put a smile on our face before we answer the phone. And we want to be also listening to them as well and not, we have to watch our tone, how our tone is. Okay. So the CHAs are first to interact with the new practice members, not just on the phone, but when they come in as well into the office. So we want to give them the wow factor. So a nice smile, firm handshake, come out from behind your desk, and say, you must be Mary, welcome to our office. Okay. And then go ahead and follow your office procedures, how you would follow them for new practice members. So interacting with the practice members, how the CHA interacts with them has a lot to do if the practice member will continue their care. It's not just the doctor, it's the CHA as well. If the practice member feels loved and taken care of, they will be back. If I can share a quick story with you, the first time, I believe it was within the first year that I had started as a CHA, I actually received my first hate letter, if you will, from one of the practice members. And this practice member was so subluxated. She didn't actually realize what she was doing, and actually came to me the next day and apologized. So it's very important, even if because they are subluxated, sometimes they won't smile at you, sometimes you may feel like they don't want to be there. So we have to show them that we do care about them. We do want them there. We want to take care of them. Okay. So with proper CHA training, the CHA can be a valuable marketing tool to attract new practice members. And the CHA can live authentically, creating a lifestyle balance with less stress professionally and personally. So you want to balance both, have time for yourself, and also when you're in the office, you want to be focused with the procedures and what you're there for in the office. Okay. So there are many types of hats that the CHA is required to wear, but I'm only going to be going through a few, even though there's countless ones. So the first one I'm going to start talking about is the greeter hat. Okay. So as the greeter, we need to welcome the practice members into the office with a compliment, not a question of how are you, rather it's so nice to see you again. And not just new practice members, but regular practice members who are under regular wellness care. It's so nice to see on you. If you've noticed they've had a hairstyle change, you can comment on that. A nice comment rather than just the how are you. Okay. We want to give the practice members a wow factor each time they come in. I had one practice member who started to bring in her mom with her when she used to come in for adjustments, and that her mom actually had cancer. So she was very conserved. She wasn't too happy. So when she used to come in, the very first time I remember she came in, I greeted her with a nice big smile, welcomed her to our office, and I got absolutely no response. Okay, so this didn't dishearten me. So next time she came in, I tried it again, gave her another call. I started her with a compliment, and slowly she started to ease off, and that thickness that was felt in our waiting room the very first time she came in, because you could tell she did not want to be there. So the air started to clear out a little bit, and she started to respond. So it's not the only ones that come in. The practice members who are so subluxated when they come in, it takes a while before they actually smile back at you. And I can say with certainty that they do appreciate your efforts. And you never know how much of a difference you make. You just gotta keep playing your part. So with this practice member and her mom, shortly after a while, her mom did pass away from cancer. And it took the practice member a few weeks, maybe even a few months before she actually emailed me. And she thanked me. She said that you were well, my mom had nothing but good things to say about you. And she was very thankful that every time she came in, you greeted her with a big smile and welcomed her into your office. And I would never have suspected that she felt that way because she never showed it. So we have to keep playing our part, keep doing what we're there to do, and help make a difference, because you don't know how much of a difference you're making. As the greeter, we also need to have the proper phone etiquette, as many of the first interactions are on the phone. Okay, so having a scripting available for your office according to your office procedures really helps. And again, that can be put into the procedure manual. So the scripting for how to answer the phone, or how to schedule, how to schedule new patients, all that should be in your office procedures. Okay, so after the greeter, I'm going to talk a little bit about an effective leader. Okay, so being in the public eye, we need to lead by example and inspire the practice members and your team, not just the practice members, but inspire your team as well to be better than they were yesterday. And by being a role model and sharing your chiropractic story. Okay, so be creative, have a vision for your office, and find a way to get there. Be passionate about being a CHA. It's a great opportunity to help change many lives for the better. We have to show that we are in control. Okay, remember, we can wear our emotions for everyone to see. That's why I'm sure you have all heard before that when you answer the phone, first put a smile on your face. That smile can be felt through the tone over the phone, and they can see if you are in a stressful situation. Okay, and that's not very pleasant when you call into an office to get a reception like that. Always do the right thing. So no favoritism on other practice members. Even though you may feel like the practice members may need some financial aid, one option would be to provide a sponsorship program. So if you know that the practice member is really in financial need, but is serious about getting chiropractic care, you cannot have 2 or 3 suits in a year for sponsorship, and help them through that. But they would have an application form to fill out with questions, whatever the doctor needs to know, and the chiropractor would make that decision whether they would be eligible or not. So we also want to do the right thing, so no favoritism again. Okay, because if other practice members find out that you decreased your fee for the adjustments for another practice member, it's not a very good feeling, and there will be resentment. That actually did happen with me. One of the practice members came and asked if we could reduce the fee for them. And what I did was I took out our financial policies. So that's why it's very important to have all the policies on paper as well for the practice members. So we took out our financial policies, and I went over the policies with this practice member. And even though he still insisted that I speak to the doctor, which I did, I let him know I will talk to Dr. Jones, and I'll call him before I leave at the end of the day and let him know what we decided. Needless to say that we did not give a discount, because that's just not morally right. If he's able to pay, doing a fair exchange and paying for his care. So we want to be discreet as well when we're working at the front desk. We don't want to discuss practice members' financial or personal matters in a waiting area for everyone else to hear. Okay, but what we do want the practice members in a waiting area to hear is when we are educating about chiropractic. So we want to walk the talk. Okay? We need to know what chiropractic is about. We need to be able to explain what an adjustment is, what is DNA, how chiropractic, know the different chiropractic terminology, what's a subluxation or a nerve block, and how do they occur. Okay, so the more you educate yourself, the more you can educate the practice members, who in return can educate the family and friends. And that, in a sense, is another way of attracting new practice members. Okay, we want to be able to explain why children need to get adjusted. When I first started getting my kids adjusted, and my friends realized I was getting them adjusted, they thought I was absolutely crazy. But after a quick explanation on the benefits of adjusting children, some of the practice members and even some of my friends ended up bringing their children in for chiropractic care. And that was great, because it was great to see them see the changes in their own children with chiropractic. And another short story that I'd love to share is when I was working at Discover Wellness Within. My eldest daughter, she's 17 now, but she was only about 4 or 5 years old when she started getting adjusted. When she gets sick now, you can tell she's not feeling well. Now, all my other 3 children who have been adjusted since birth, when they get sick, you don't even know they're sick. Especially my youngest one, she'll be running around because she's very active. and then all of a sudden she'll stop and put her head down for a few minutes, and then she's up and running again. And then in a few minutes she came to me and said, "Mommy, I think I need to go see Dr. Jones." So they know exactly what they need and when they need it, which is amazing about children because they can get more intuitive with their bodies than we can as adults. Okay, so being able to share your story, you need to be a good communicator. So we have to have the open communication lines between the CHA and the practice members. You have to make them feel like they can tell you anything. Sometimes the practice members may share with you certain concerns or misunderstandings before they're willing to share it with the doctor. So it's very important to have that communication available for the practice members. And then you need to have your communication line between the doctor and the CHA very clear as well, because you need to communicate to the doctor, well, this practice member is concerned about this, or this practice member mentioned this to me. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. And a lot of times, I mean, sometimes the doctors are not, because the practice members just prefer to share with the CHNs. Because at one point, I know Dr. Jones and the front desk was actually just from the front desk on my right side was the waiting room, and from the left side I could see into the adjusting room. So we had this communication at one point where I could kind of hear her with my left ear, and if she was saying that she was going to write something down for a practice member, or she wanted some water, I would have that available for her even before she looked at me and was ready to ask me. So that type of communication is very important. It'll help the office flow more smoother as well, because she didn't have to stop her focus of adjusting. She could continue with that, and she knew she was being taken care of as well. And the communication that I had built with Dr. Jones was a bit scary at first, but when I was younger as well, I used to suffer from migraines quite a bit. So as soon as she could see it, she'd be pointing me to one of the adjusting tables, like, you need to get on. And I would be like, I got to take care of the practice members. I need to make this phone call. I need to send out an email. And she's like, no, that can wait, get on the table. So as soon as I got on the table, I mean, that migraine was gone. And I was so grateful every single time that she used to make me get off that table. And if I had only known about chiropractic as I was growing up, that's why I'm so passionate about sharing stories about chiropractic. Another thing is, if you ask questions from the practice members and you're not able to answer them, especially if it's in regards to their care, just let them know that if there is time at that moment, you can let them know to have a seat in the waiting room. You let the doctor know that you need to discuss something with them and let them do their thing. Otherwise, you can let them know that they're, welcome, or you can pass on the message, whichever they prefer. And if it's a question in regards to the office or procedures, you don't want to bother the doctor with these mundane questions. Actually, if you're able to answer them yourself. If you're not sure, then by all means do let the practice member know that, I will discuss this with my team or ask the doctor, and I'll give you a call before I leave tonight. Okay, so they know that, yeah, they are being taken care of in that sense as well. So in part with communicating well, you also need to organize well. Okay, so organizing events in the office is a really big thing. A lot of practice members, they really appreciate when you go out of your way to organize events in the office just for them. Okay, so one of the big events that we used to host was the patient appreciation day. We have that one day in July every year, and we would do it actually outside. We'd have gifts there, we'd have contests, we'd have draws. It was a great way to refer practice members, for them to refer, bring their families, or bring some friends. So that's just one of the many events that can take place. Maybe you can have a theme for the month and do a draw at the end of the month, or some type of activity. Bring in some treats for the practice members. I know we used to do a cleanse as well for the practice members, which used to last about 2 weeks. We used to do it twice a year for them, and we actually had about a dozen people participating each time. So it was quite well done, and they did appreciate it. So remember, to make it interesting for the practice members that are coming in for wellness care, you want to make sure they want to return again. Right? So yes, we want to help the practice members that come in for their intensive care, but our goal should be to help all the practice members reach that wellness phase of care. Okay. We also want to create a wow factor in our office events. And it can be as simple as handing a rose to every woman on Mother's Day or wishing them a wonderful day as they walk out from their adjustment. And maybe bringing a platter of fruits or veggies that day so the men don't feel left out. But they appreciate everything you do for them. And there's so many types of events you can organize. You just let your imagination loose and just have fun with it. And it's so fun to organize as well. And sometimes the practice members like to get involved with the organization. I know for our Patient Appreciation Day, we used to have one of our practice members who used to make chocolate chip cookies made with chickpeas. So no flour, it was made with chickpeas. And they were amazing. So every year people would ask, oh, are we going to have those cookies again? And that practice member was thrilled. So she was tickled pink that I loved them, and she offered to make them every year for us. So not only do you have to organize office events, we also have to organize the office. Okay. So we want to make sure that the office is always kept neat and tidy, especially if we have a lot of children coming in through our office. So we want to make sure if you do have a specific play area for the children, you need to tidy that up every so often on a regular basis throughout the day, because you don't want people to come in and there's a big mess. Okay. If you have lots of magazines in your office, make sure you scan the magazines so you can decide which magazines you want out there in the office for your practice members. Because remember, a lot of the magazines have so many ads about drugs and medications. Some of the travel magazines are really good, or the health magazines. You want the environment to be clean and stress-free. Okay, and especially in winter time, you want to make sure the floors are cleaned almost every day at the end of each day to remove those ugly salt stains. Okay, and especially if we ask the practice members to remove their shoes in our office, we want to make sure that the floors are clean, just to make it more pleasant for the practice members. So with many hats that we've touched upon so far, a lot of them we need to wear the same hats at the same time. So we need to be a multitasker as well. And this is again the same scenario as having a child in one arm, another child pulling the other leg, children running in the office, someone standing there to make a payment or schedule an appointment, phone is ringing, a new practice member walking in. So you need to prioritize and make it look easy, right? With the flow, take a lot of deep breaths when you're given the chance, and learn to de-stress however it works for you. Okay. Affirmations are always a great way to help to clear your mind. So even at the beginning of the day, before you go into the office, because you're multitasking basically the whole time you're there. So before I used to go into the office, I used to stand at the door and just take a couple deep breaths, and any family problems, any worldly thought problems or personal problems I had, I would just leave at the door so I could come in with a clean mind, fresh mind, and be there just to focus on the practice members. Okay. Don't play the Superwoman and Superman card, you guys, because you'll be burnt out by the end of the day. And I know, because I was Superwoman, I wanted to do it all, please everybody, but I was totally burnt out at the end of the day. So I'm sure most of you probably try this as well. But we're all humans. We can only do so much, you guys. Right? So after multitasking, we want to live by example. So practice what you preach. Regular adjustments, for example, is very important for the chiropractic CHAs to get their regular adjustments and get their care as well. And it'll be easier for you to share your story with the practice members if you're actually going through the care yourself. Okay, so with the regular adjustments, you can do affirmations. Make some time for yourself, which we call me time, so you can take care of yourself, because you need to take care of yourself before you can take care of others. And this is probably one of the hardest lessons I've had to learn, and I haven't perfected it yet. I have to admit I'm still working on giving myself some more me time. I, like most CHAs, love to give. And that's something that attracts a lot of people to that CHA position, is because we're givers. But as Dr. Tom Carson said in one of his recent articles, don't be a selfish giver. Okay, give the other person a chance as well to give and experience the joy that you feel when you give. Okay, it truly is nice to be on the receiving side as well once in a while. Um, and once you take care of yourself, you'll have more energy, you'll find, and you can actually become a kid again with the kids in your office. We used to have a lot of children come through our office, and the best way to keep them occupied was to become one of them, albeit a bit more mature child, so as not to lose total control in the office. We had a lot of fun with the kids. You can have different items to keep them occupied while they're waiting, such as coloring books, reading books, papers for drawing, or puzzles. Just have fun. And this was actually, again, one of my favorite roles as a CHA when I got to play with the kids. And I would be down on the floor with them on my hands and knees, coloring right beside them, or I'd have a whole group sitting around me and I'd be reading to them. And you know what? The parents really appreciated it as well. And when they were in for their adjustments, they knew they could focus on getting their adjustment and their mind wasn't out in the waiting area thinking about, oh, what is my child doing? Okay. Which brings me actually to the last hat that I'd like to share with you is you have to love what you do. Okay. Sometimes it feels like as a CHA we take care of everything in the office, and the doctor comes in to adjust and leaves. Even though we know the doctor has a lot more as well, especially all the extras to maintain the office. I remember Dr. Jones sharing with me one day that her daughter had come up to her in the morning and asked her, Mommy, are you going to Shazia's office to work today? So it was actually known as my office with a lot of the kids because they saw me at the front. Um, and I was handling everything. So when Dr. Jones's daughter was there, she saw me there as well at the front, dealing with all the practice members, dealing with all the payments, the scheduling. And she knew her money was in the back adjusting, which is the most important as well. But she thought that it was my office because I was doing most of the stuff visible to the practice members. And as Dr. Jones's daughter saw that, similarly, all the practice members who come into your office will see the same thing. So how we portray ourselves reflects how the office sees us as a whole. Okay. A wise man, namely my dad, told me quite often while I was growing up when choosing a career, if you want to be successful, make sure you absolutely love what you do. So being a CHA is such a privilege, and as you get to change the lives of so many practice members and lead them towards better health. So it's not just the chiropractors, it's the CHAs as well that are making a difference. So if you do love what you do, it makes it very easy as well to wear the multiple hats at once or switch from one to the other with a nice flow. Okay. Lastly, I'd like to bring your attention actually to the coaching program, which we are so excited about launching in September of this year. Currently, we've created the program to have about 10 modules, touching upon chiropractic terminology, scheduling, payments, office flow, special appointments, recalls, scripting, and so much more. If there was something in particular you needed coaching on, the program can be customized to your needs as well to help you succeed. So if you guys are interested in the CHA coaching, or if you have any questions about it, there's a URL right in the middle of the screen there with a brief questionnaire for anyone. If you'd like to please fill that out and just submit it. And we'll definitely contact you and answer any questions, maybe set up an authenticity call as well to see if we can work together with the coaching. So I hope each and every one of you managed to take some piece from our presentation tonight. So just very quickly, I just want to reiterate some of the takeaways that you can take about the responsibilities of the CHA that we've talked about. So you want to remember to always create a lifestyle balance. Okay, so whatever that may look like for you, and it may be different for everyone because everyone handles stress differently. So affirmations, meditation, just breathing, yoga, anything that works for you, okay? And I can't stress that enough that you need to take care of yourself, have your me time, because you need to take care of yourself before you take care of others. Okay. Always remember as a CHA, you represent the face of your office. So it's very important to always have positive interactions with anyone who comes through the front doors. And know that when you're interacting with certain practice members at the front desk, all the other practice members who are sitting in the waiting area are listening to what you say. So it's very important to have that positive interaction. Always remember to create a lasting impression of your offer. Give all the practice members the wow factor every single time they come in. Okay, a lot of the office paperwork can be done after adjusting hours. During adjusting hours, you're there for the practice member, so make sure you give them that time and give them that care. Always remember to lead by example. You see, never lose control. Not during adjusting hours anyways, that is. So after adjusting hours, if you need to scream or let it out, however, that's up to you. But during the adjusting hours, always keep control. Okay, talk the talk and walk the walk. Make sure you're on a regular schedule of care for yourself. Getting your adjustments. It'll make the communication a lot more effective, you guys, on your part, as well as the organization and the office events. It'll make everything flow more easily. So make sure that the office is clean at all times as well. That's a great marketing tool. The practice members come in, it's nice and clean, they're getting good service, they're being greeted with a nice big smile, a nice compliment. It's going to make them feel really good. So they're going to be talking about you guys to family members and to friends. Okay, and always make it look easy, even though I know it's not at times. But during adjusting hours, you want to make it look easy and do the best you can. You're there for a reason, and you can do it. Okay, so I hope that you guys got some takeaways from tonight. There's a phone number at the bottom of the screen there as well as an email address. If you guys want to send any questions, I'll be here for the next few minutes as well. Is there anything we've talked about, any questions you guys have, feel free to send them through or give us a call or email. The email address is at the bottom of the screen again. So again, thank you all for being here tonight. I hope you guys have benefited from this, especially since it was my very first webinar that I've presented. So thank you all for being here and being a part of this for me. It's definitely an experience I will remember. So I hope everyone has a great night. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to type them in or email or give me a call. Thanks, everyone.